Welcome to Lead Different, the podcast that redefines leadership and challenges the status quo. Hosted by Daniel Dominguez, founder and CEO of Why Not Leadership. This show is your compass to becoming a better leader through the power of self-awareness. Good leaders foster teams that are engaged, empowered, and energized. Join us on this transformative journey as we equip you with the tools and insights to lead different. Get ready to challenge the ordinary and embrace self-aware leadership. This is Lead Different.
Subscribe now. Discover a new era of leadership. Lead different, because great leaders change the world.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Lead Different podcast. Today, we have an amazing guest, Rikki Smith. She is the Chief Training Officer at Strauss Training and Consulting, LLC. She's a certified corporate trainer, author, speaker, and a YouTube creator behind Faith on Friday, where I was a guest recently. Rikki was raised in a military family and shaped by global experiences. She brings heart, humor, and real-life wisdom to every stage she steps on. As a keynote speaker and a transformational trainer, she empowers individuals and organizations to lead with confidence, communicate effectively, and navigate challenges with grace. From leadership development to soft skills that stick, and that's very important. Rikki partners with HR and training teams to build resilient, high-performing workplaces. Her engaging, story-driven style makes complex ideas relatable and actionable because she knows what it means to be in the trenches and come out stronger. So let me bring onto the stage Rikki Smith. Rikki, thank you so much for being here. I am so glad you decided to be on the Lead Different podcast.
Thanks, Dan, so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Let's move you to the big stage here. Rikki, I love that introduction, learning a little bit more about you. You know, one of the things I loved about meeting you recently, we met through our mutual friend, 𝗹𝗶𝗸𝗲, who is also a connector. And you know what I find, Rikki, is when you find your people, you find your people. And so you are my people. I want you to know you are my people. 𝗹𝗶𝗸𝗲 is my people because we tend to want to connect each other to other people that are similar, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And you didn't waste any time. You introduced me to 𝗪𝗶𝗀𝗪, who I just had a fantastic conversation with. I had a great conversation with you. I think it took us 5 minutes before you decided, Dan, I got to have you on my podcast.
Oh, yeah.
And it was the same thing for me. I said, I want to have Rikki on the podcast. And I love being on Faith on Friday. I love the topics we talked about. I love a lot of the energy that you bring to your coaching and to your life. You know, 𝗪𝗃 and I were just having a great conversation, and I thought to myself, you know, that doesn't happen if Rikki doesn't make that introduction. So I want to thank you for that.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for handling my folks with kid gloves. I appreciate it.
You know what? I have a good friend wrote a book on Can I Borrow Your Car? All about referrals.
I am finding that. That sounds great.
I'll send you the title, and we'll put it in the show notes. Can I borrow my car? He says that's what we do when we refer somebody. When you ask for a referral and somebody trusts you enough to refer you, that's like borrowing their car. You know, so that prospect, that person they introduced, he said, you got to treat them like you're borrowing somebody's car. And you know what you're supposed to do when you borrow somebody's car, right? You bring it back.
The better cleaner than you left it. Yeah.
Yes.
And full, please.
Gas
put some gas
full,
in it.
Yes, you put some, and then that person will then let you borrow their car again. But if you bring it back dirty, maybe a little dent that you forgot to tell them about, and the gas tank's empty, it's going to be different. So I love that you said that treating with kid gloves. I will definitely get that. Can I Borrow Your Car is the name of the book, and I've got it behind my bookshelf. But we're on a podcast, not on a Zoom call. So if not, I'd reach back and get it. Rikki, let's talk about that. What's the book that you've read lately that just gave you a new perspective and you're so glad you read it?
Oh my gosh. I'm one of those folks. I read a lot. One of the books that changed my life, changed my business is called Profit First. It is an amazing book. It is a way to create your money management system in your business so that your business works for you instead of you working for it. And it is phenomenal. Yeah, a good friend of mine who is a financial coach out of Denver, she introduced me to it, I want to say 2 years ago now, and it changed everything, changed everything.
Oh my gosh, can
Yeah.
you see this?
Oh, look at you.
It is
Yes.
in my backpack.
So you know it to be true, right? I'm not
Oh,
kidding.
it is absolutely, guys, this is wisdom right here. This is somebody who is doing it right. I was introduced to it by my our photographer and brand ambassador. So she's the person flew into Albuquerque, and she did our photo shoot. So for
Yeah.
my media pictures and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then she helped design our website. And when I asked her, so what's something, and that's exactly what she gave me. She said, read Profit First. And I've already
I
recommended
love
to
it.
one of my coaching clients is implemented
Mm-hmm.
and absolutely loves it. So,
I'm telling
wow.
life changing. I read the hard copy. I have it on my Audible type deal. Yeah,
Yeah.
I read a lot. Another book that I read, I call it my public speaking Bible, because as a speaker, it's important to keep honing your skills. And there's a book called Speak Up and Speak Up. What's it called? Just That Fast. See if I hadn't thought, but I keep it on my desk. I'm
Oh,
not
pull-
kidding. I
yeah,
keep it on my
pull it
desk.
out.
Here it is right here. It's called Speak Up and Get Clients by РV Robinson, who is also my public speaking coach.
R.V.
And
Robinson.
it is so good. It is so good. It gives you different formulas, different ways to do your talk, to get folks to move, have calls of action that get people out of their seats. And so
Yes.
it's really good. And this one I keep on my desk all the time.
That is so good. So tell us, Rikki, what is it? So in your introduction, that's one of the big things you do is keynote speaking. I love the book because I'm always looking. I follow Joel Weldon. He's amazing at coming up with ideas. He leads with humor, great ways to keep audiences engaged.
Yeah.
I don't believe in giving a keynote where the people aren't having fun. We've got to involve them. They don't want to listen to us talk for an hour. Now,
Yeah.
they're there to hear us talk for an hour, but why not involve them? Why not let
Yeah.
them have some fun,
That's
right?
exactly right.
Why not
Yeah.
have them take home a memory, right?
Mhm.
And I have a feeling you do that really well. So tell us about your business, because this is the Lead Different podcast. I like to focus on what's different. What is it
Yeah.
that you do different than everybody else? So, we can everybody keynotes, everybody does coaching, but how do you do it differently? When we hire Rikki, what are we getting that's different?
Well, it depends on what you're hiring me for. So I do a lot of things. So I own the training company. And one of the big things that we do different there is we brought back the way we trained when we were kids. When we were little kids, we learned more when we were playing, engaging with others, and laughing. And as we got older, we stopped training that way. What could possibly have gone wrong? And so now you have folks who are training, and you're sitting there, and some of the best takeaways are lost in your heart's desire just to leave. Get out. This is so boring. So I pretty much created a better mousetrap and brought back some of the things that we did when we were kids. So in our training sessions, we have a great time. We do lots of role playing. We interact with each other, and we laugh and play a lot. What we have found is that the retention is anywhere between 87 and 93% because we're having a good time. When you put things together, why do kids learn their ABCs? Yes, so they can read. But the way that they learn it is what? Through a song. And even right now, when I said that, I heard 60 people going A, B, C, D. Yeah, it's because of a song. When you learn your timetables, I don't know if your audience is old enough to remember Schoolhouse Rock. That used to come.
Yes.
Yeah. And how did we learn those things? Through song, through play, through interaction. So that is how we train. And I brought it back. That is what makes Stratus very different.
That's so good. And you've got to make it fun. If it's not, and that's my personality. It's not everybody, but if it's not fun, it's not worth doing, right?
That's where I'm at.
And we're talking about retention, which is so important. So many times, and I've been hired, and I tell my clients, look, you can bring me in, and we can give your audience a sugar high. What are you going to do after, right?
That's the big thing.
I think that as a keynote, as a trainer, as a leader, we have to do more than just come in and give people a sugar high and everybody say, "Oh my gosh, that was the best talk I ever heard. And then 2 weeks later, they're like, who was that guy?
What
What did
was
he
that guy's
say?
name? And I
Right.
can't remember what they did. I mean, I love when I go into organizations and I do a training and I'll come back maybe a month later to do a follow-up or whatever. And people at the front desk will say, oh my gosh, I still remember blah, 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 blah. That lets me know we are on the right track. But in the same way I train corporate, I train my folks the same way.
Mm-hmm.
Because of what we do. And because there are so many training companies,
Right.
so many training companies. But you
Yeah.
know what? If you cannot differentiate yourself, and one of the ways you do that is don't just train others, train your people to train others.
Yes. I love
And
that.
so that's huge.
That speaks, Rikki. Sorry, I spoke
Not
over
at
you.
all.
That speaks to practicing what you preach.
Mhm.
Right? You can't
Yeah.
just tell people. You can't speak profit first and be broke. Right?
So true.
Your credibility goes right out the window if you're talking about having fun and training your people the way you train your
Yeah.
clients, but people call your office and your people are just so blah,
Wah,
and
wah,
they
wah.
sound like they hate being at work. It speaks
Yeah,
to
it
the
does.
quality of your training. Tell us
Yeah.
about Stratus. I always like to hear the origin story.
Yeah.
The name Stratus Training. Tell us how the name came about, and because I'm sure this is a good story.
Well, whether it's good or not, it's my story. So Stratus is a cloud. And it's so it comes from, in the Bible, there is a place where it talks about the latter rain, which is going to be better than what was before. And so I was looking at the clouds, the rain clouds, and the stratus clouds are the ones that make it rain. And so I wanted, I needed stuff to rain down, whether it be clients, profits, fun, whether it be the notoriety of it all. Yeah. So it's all about the clouds. Yeah.
Oh, I like that. The clouds, and you brought something else that I want to make sure we talk about, because it's one of the ways you lead different that attracted you to me. Is you talked about the Bible, you talked about your faith.
Yeah.
I think it's different when we are able to lead from our faith and we're not hiding behind it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
If you're too religious for your secular friends, or you're not religious enough for your religious friends, you're not telling people who you are. You're not
True.
living into who you are. I love that you brought that up. Tell me what role your podcast is called Faith on Friday.
It's called Faith on Friday. Yeah.
So there's no doubt that there's an element of faith in the work that you do. How and that's different. So how important is it for you to be able to incorporate your faith into the work that you do?
It's interesting that you say that, because a lot of people will hear that and be like, oh, you must carry a Bible when you go to training. No, I don't. My faith is not something I do. It is literally who I am. It's what drives me, moves me, wakes me up, gets me going. It's my idea. It's just who I am. And so when I go to do trainings, I'm not in there, and here's what the Bible says and at the scripture. No, I don't do that. I go to work just like I do anything and anywhere else. I put on my clothes, I put on my glasses, I put on my earrings, and I take my faith with me. It is what it is. I go to work, but it's part of who I am. Now, there are things that people will hear, and it's one of those things you only know if you know. And it never fails. At the end of a training, at the end of a talk, somebody will come and ask me about it, because they too have heard that thing. And yes, the show is called Faith on Friday for a lot of reasons. One of them is because people's faith is important to them. And if they don't get to share it, it makes them feel like they have to pull the reins back, hold back on part of who they are. This way, they can talk about whatever they want to talk about to include their faith. So it's basically like an open invitation. You don't have to have that to be on the show, but you can if you want to. So, yeah.
Oh, I love that. That reminds me of a famous St. Francis quote. He said, preach the gospel always, and when necessary, use words. So
Exactly.
You preach by your actions.
You
preach by how you teach.
That's right. Some people say, right. Some people say the only Bible that folks will read is you. And so I
Yeah.
just, I just do what I do. I grew up in it, type deal. So, and got away from it like most normal people did, got out, went to the military, did bad things. Yay. Came back to where, I came back to where I belong. And so here I am. And I realized it wasn't separate from me. It wasn't
Yeah.
something you compartmentalize. Nope. This is literally how I lead.
Yeah. And it all makes up who you are and the experiences that you have. Tell
Mhm.
us a little bit about how you ended up here, Rikki. I'd love to hear the origin story. So we heard the origin of Stratus. You had a career in the military. Tell us what did you do and what led you into coaching and consulting and training?
Wow, that is a long and sordid tale. So the short version is, so my parents were in the Air Force. I went into the Army. I don't recommend it. Air Force kids should not go to the Army. Your parents are not happy. So I did that, got out. Believe it or not, I was in communications. When I was in the military. So I was 𝗵𝗶𝗍𝗄 for military units when they were out in the field and things, and a lot of secret clearances. And it was great. It was everything I needed for me to be. I got out of that. I started working in the hospitality industry. I worked for hotels for 15 years and had the best time. Left that and started working for Customs and Border Protection. One of the things that I noticed in all of those genres, from the military to the hotels to Customs and Border Protection, training, it was a thing. It was a thing. And I hated it so bad. Every time I heard the word mandatory training, you could hear the collective eye roll.
Right.
Because what mandatory training meant was that the oldest person in the world was coming in to train you. They were probably a mortician in their first life. All you wanted to do was leave and think about the 847 million emails that you're going to have to answer when you get out of here. And when you left, you had nothing more than a donut.
Mm-hmm. And a stomach ache, probably.
Yeah. And your backside hurt for sitting there so long. I thought there has to be another way to do this. So when people ask me, why did you start a training company? The truth is because I hate training. I hate it. This was not the way it was supposed to go. So that is where the research came in. That's where we found out that you learn best through activity, through laughing, through collaborating with others. So that's what we brought into the space. And when we started this the research started much longer before than that. But when we started beta testing, if you will, we found, oh my gosh, people enjoyed it because it was enjoyable.
Yeah.
And so we ran with that.
That is so good. It reminds me, one of the things we did, Rikki, when before this interview, is discover your why operating system.
Yeah.
And it's coming out as we're talking. I'm hearing it, right? I'm hearing you say, hey, there's got to be a better way.
Gotta be a better way.
Your how is to find a better way. And you said there's got to be a better way to do training. Your why is to simplify. So you want to make it simple. So you took something that that can probably overwhelm some people.
Sure.
You said, okay, there's got to be, let's simplify it so it's not overwhelming. Let's find a better way to do it, and let's build trust using that. And that comes across in a conversation with you, and it comes across in the way you talk about the work that you do. So communications in the military.
Yeah. Can you believe it? I know I was in communications. Go figure.
So tell us what was. So were you enlisted? Were you an officer? Tell me about your journey.
So I was enlisted, and I was there for 5 years. And again, the reason, and it's so funny. So in communications in the military, doing what I did, when units would go out to the field, they would drive me, my team, and my equipment out there and drop us off in the middle of nowhere so that we could set up communication relay stations for all the other units that were everywhere. It was great. It was fun. Nobody bothered us most of the time because we're in the middle of nowhere. Nobody wanted to come out there. One of the coolest things though, and all of my 31 mics commo people in the military, you know what I'm talking about. Yes. You had the best gig because you could literally call all over the world.
Right. Yeah. I wasn't sure. I was gonna say a 31 mic.
Yeah.
So you did that. You help people communicate all over the world.
Yeah.
Spent some time in the field, it sounds like.
A lot of time. I was in an infantry unit.
Uh-huh.
Commo in an infantry unit. Yeah, you were in the field regularly.
Yeah, and you and comms better work.
Don't
Right?
even.
You
You're
don't
giving me a
get
whole
it.
flashback right now.
Right.
Yeah.
Nothing happens. I was a quartermaster officer
Right. I
with
remember
the
you
third
saying.
armored cav, and it's funny how every job is important.
Mm-hmm.
You can't if you can't communicate, the battle's not going to go well. Well, if you
Nope.
don't have food, water, bullets, that's important, and
Bullets are
fuel for the
important.
tanks, those are
Yeah.
important. All those
Mm-hmm.
things, so the logisticians have to do their job,
That's right.
and God bless those infantry troops that are out there,
Yeah.
because if we think we have it hard, right?
Woo.
They're out there sleeping when they can, and
Yeah.
sleeping on dirt, and
Under
and
trucks, on top of trucks. Like I
yeah,
said, this is why I don't go camping now. I do not camp now. For me, roughing it is no room service. So yeah, I'm pretty well done.
you have to leave the room to eat. That's roughing it for
Ex-
Rikki.
exactly.
That is so funny. Yeah, and you know what? You've earned that. So you spent how many years in the military, Rikki?
5 years. And the only reason I spent 5 years is because I was in Europe and I wanted to stay an
Uh-huh.
additional year.
Oh, good for you. So 5 years, you
Mhm.
came out. So you used that communication. You did some work in the hospitality
Yeah,
industry.
I was
Yeah.
working for hotels for 15 years. That was my favorite job. I don't know. Again, there was a show when I was growing up. It was called Hotel.
Yes.
And that was my dream. But going back, looking at when you're talking about my why to make things simple and all the things. And when I was in high school, I was a cheerleader, and I was all these things. I would set up NCAA cheerleading camps. I said, and I'm looking backwards now. After you said that, I was like, huh, I've kind of always done that, I guess.
Yeah.
And I used to teach little kids, the young ladies at the time, to getting cheerleading and doing all their things. I was a high school ambassador as well. So when new kids would come, I would help them and show them around and do all the things and introduce them to the different clubs and stuff. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
interesting.
Fun and always in pursuit of a better way. When's the first time you just brought it up? You brought up high
Mhm.
school. When's the first time you remember, or because a lot of times we have these origin stories, right? Do you
Mhm.
remember the first time you said there's got to be a better way, or your parents will definitely remember? Oh, Rikki, she's always trying to fix things, right, and make them
Yeah.
better. You can't show Rikki anything before she starts trying to fix it and make it better. Do you have a time when maybe when you
Wow.
were little, or first experience where somebody said, "There's Rikki making it better," right?
You,
Or
you
you
know,
caught yourself doing it?
Probably, if I think back now, so I'm the oldest of a whole bunch of kids. And I had, you always have that one sibling who has to do things the incredibly hard way, no matter what. So
Mm-hmm.
I had one of those. And I remember thinking, going back, we shared a car
Oh
at one
gosh,
point.
yeah.
And I was the one that came up with the car schedule. Oh, that's so funny as I think about it, who's gonna drive who, and we're all a year apart. And
Right,
so we kind of all went to the same parties, we went to the same schools, all
right.
that kind of thing. So the car schedule was interesting. Now that I think about that, that's hilarious.
Well,
That is so
simple.
funny.
Let's simplify it, right? Let's get a schedule, and it's better,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, and
It's
it
going to
kept
be a
us out
lot
of
better.
trouble because we
Yeah,
would we used to fight a lot, you
right.
know. And so yeah, wow, that's hilarious.
That's good stuff. Simplify it and make it better. And
Simply make it better.
you probably say this, Rikki, but do you ever say simple is better, right?
If I don't, I should. I should say it because it's literally how I live my life. There's got to be a better way. Hard things don't have to be hard.
Right. You know what
They don't.
I've found, and I'm going to ask you this because your why is simplify, and see if it's true. Life is simple. It's not easy.
No,
So,
no.
doing the right thing, it's simple, right? There's 10
Hmm.
commandments. You just follow those. You're going to do pretty darn well.
No,
There,
you
there are
won't go to
10, 10,
jail. That's pretty much
10
it.
simple 10 simple rules, but it's not easy, right? Some of those rules are
Mm-mm.
hard because there's human nature, there's our natural desires,
Yeah,
there's the
our
way we
ability to
are wired.
choose.
the
Mm-hmm.
ability, the freedom to choose, right?
Mm-hmm.
Freedom to be ourselves.
Right.
You can be good. You don't have to be good. You can choose another route.
Yeah.
What's one simple, as we think of, you talk about profit first. What's one way you can simplify? If you're a new coach, and so let's talk now. How long have you been a coach and owned your training company, Rikki?
9 years.
Okay, so you've been doing this long enough. You survived that fatal first year, that
Oh,
fatal first 3 years. I'm sure you remember what that was like, surviving those first few years.
mm-hmm.
What's one piece of simple advice you would give somebody who is thinking about doing what you do, stepping out and saying, "Hey, I found a better way, and I want to share it with the world."
Mm-hmm.
But what would be a simple bit of advice you would give to somebody in that position?
It's making me laugh. I'm thinking of it now. Drink your own Kool-Aid. What does that mean? You better be doing what it is you're trying to teach other people to do.
Hmm.
So drink your own Kool-Aid.
Drink your own Kool-Aid. Make it
Yeah,
and then drink it.
that's it. Yeah. And then you share it with other people. All the cooks in the audience, very few cooks will make anything that they haven't tasted themselves.
Hmm.
They won't serve it to anybody else if they've never tasted it.
Yeah.
And so my first client was me. My second client, bless his heart, was my husband.
Yeah.
And to find out what works and what doesn't work. Do your research well, but basically drink your own Kool-Aid. You need to, don't say you're a coach and you don't have one.
Right.
Don't say you're a speaker and you've never been on stage.
Hmm.
Don't say you love podcasters, and you don't have one.
Yeah. I help podcasters, right? I don't have a podcast yet. That's a good one. I love that. There's so much of that, though, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's people who have learned by doing, and there's people who
Yeah.
have learned by reading, and I think we need both. But I
Mm-hmm.
think when it comes to being your authentic self, it helps if you've been in the shoes of the person that you're trying to coach or
100%.
teach or
Yeah.
train, right?
Yeah. And
So what do you
draw on your experience. Your
absolutely.
experience is a great way to relate to other people. You have something to offer. Do not discount your life experiences. Someone else has that as well, and you can help.
Yeah. Rikki, what's something that's different about you today
Hmm.
than it was 9 years ago when you first began
Yeah.
Stratus? What if I met you then and I met you now? What's one thing I'd say? Oh, you know what I noticed? This is different.
Yeah. Wow. She's so much more confident in herself,
Hmm.
because I wasn't before. I'm a reformed people pleaser. And so it was hard for me to just be this.
Hmm.
It was difficult because I was so busy trying to be what they needed, what
Yeah.
they wanted, going where they needed to be. Yeah. Now I'm like, well, no, I can't. It's not me. It's not
Right.
my jam. So I'm so much more authentic now and confident in it.
Do you agree that our success is based not on what we say yes to, it's what we say no to,
100%.
right?
100%. Because you can say yes to everything. The courage that it takes to say no comes from confidence, experience, and assurance.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think you've proven it because you've got a track record of success. What's a time you remember where you said you were ready to quit and you're so glad you did?
Whew, every day. Any small business owner, you quit every day 50 times. Now COVID hit.
Mm,
COVID, because I had started the business like 10 months before the world shut down. So I went from a full calendar to absolutely nothing.
yeah.
And that's when you start rethinking your life choices. And you're like, maybe that wasn't a good idea. Maybe I didn't. Oh, I don't know. But then when you stop doing the pity party thing and you look at where you are, you look at your processes, you look at your people, you look at your opportunities, man, had it not been for COVID, some of the things that I have in place now would have never existed. So,
Podcasts the way we do them today. I mean, there are a lot of
yeah.
podcasts that still do in person, right? Fly
God
in
bless
and you,
them.
but and I think that'll be fun to do. But I
Hmm.
like being able to interview anybody in the world
in the whole world.
Through a virtual platform. We all got used to talking virtually through Zoom, StreamYard, which we're using today. Any of the different platforms. I remember we had Zoom, and at my corporate job, and we wouldn't use it. We had it was oh gosh, what was it called? WebEx, and nobody liked it. They hated it, right? WebEx, they hated it. But we all got pretty darn used to talking to each other virtually. But it changed. So what's one positive thing that came out of COVID for you? What's one big lesson you learned that you're so glad you learned?
I learned that everything is possible with a little help from your friends. There were things that I had no idea how to do. I wasn't prepared to pivot into an online platform and all these things. Man, I had some friends that stepped in. They're like, Rick, we can help you. Let me show you something. I learned so much. It was a really good time. Sadly, it was a really good time. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think there are some people that probably, use that as an excuse. Oh, darn, I'm going to go back and do what I was doing because, maybe this wasn't meant to be, or they didn't, you went from a full calendar. But believe me, I was right there with you. Yeah. We had a booked year of speaking engagements, and then everybody said, well, you can't come, we can't train, and all the money that I have I need to pay my employees because I don't know when I'm going to sell something again.
Exactly.
So training and consulting is kind of, we're not doing that right now. Nope. And so you have to find different ways to add value.
Exactly. That's where I started speaking online. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Because I had no idea how to do things. I reached out to some friends of mine in various places, and they're like, yeah, we can, that would be great. You can do it online. Yes, I can. Build the plane while you're flying. So yeah, sure I can. And that is when I learned the power of what Zoom could do.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, exactly. And then you start working, and you probably have had some big audiences. We had a global event recently on Zoom with hundreds of people, and you can make it interactive even then. And I bet you're really good on that. We're running out of time. I know we got started on this recording late, but Rikki, it has been such a pleasure to have you. I know we're going to have you back. We're going to talk some more about some of the lessons learned because you're somebody worth following.
Thank you.
Let's make sure we're going to put this in the show notes. But if somebody wants to hire Rikki for a keynote, or they want to work with you, they've heard something here today that they said, oh, I want to work with her. How do they get a hold of you?
Go to our website. It's super easy at stratustrains.com, and you can find everything and all the things. You can also find me everywhere: Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, Instagram. If you can't find me, you ain't looking.
Right. And it's Rikki Smith, Rikki. So that's, Smith is easy. Rikki is Rikki. You can do that. We met, like I said, through 𝗹𝗶𝗍𝗲. I found you on LinkedIn, saw your podcast. I got the opportunity to be on it. We are so glad that you came on, guys. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Don't forget to hit the like button. Drop us a comment. Let us know what you thought. If you learned something from Rikki, reach out to her. If you learned something from the show, make sure you tell your friends about it. Rikki, what do you say we end the show on that note?
Why not?
Thank you so much, Rikki, for being on the Lead Different podcast. I hope you have a wonderful day. And all of you, go out there and lead different. Don't be afraid to be yourself. And as Rikki says, just be authentic, be who you are, and have a great week. Thank you, Rikki.
My pleasure.
This is Lead Different.
Subscribe now. Discover a new era of leadership. Lead different because great leaders change the world.